The First Love Archive. For subscribers around the world, everyone. Hello. Today we will proudly open the doors of the First Love Archive, established by our Flower Road Life Story channel. The first love story I will introduce today is about a beautiful summer camp. Romance between a Korean man from Busan and a mixed-race woman from Los Angeles, USA. Title: The Love of Summer Camp in the summer of 1975. Two young hearts met as if by fate. Min-jae, a shy 17-year-old boy who grew up in a small fishing village, came to camp with an old notebook filled with dreams. His poetry sang of the sea and sky, and his heart longed for a world yet to be unfolded. Soo-jin, a girl born in Seoul and raised in the United States, arrived here in search of adventure, with a laughter as free as the wind. The camp by the tranquil lake, surrounded by a pine forest, felt like a place where time had stopped. In that place, first love blossomed like wildflowers. Min-jae was an awkward boy. The glasses kept slipping down, and he often fell behind in team games. His world consisted only of the sound of the ocean waves. In contrast, Soo-jin shone like the sun. She enjoyed every moment, laughing with her friends at the center of the camp. One day, Soo-jin, who discovered Min-jae writing poetry alone by the lake. "What's that, a poem?" Her voice was filled with playful warmth. Min-jae was flustered, but he found courage in her smile. He opened the notebook with trembling hands. When a star falls on the water, the world becomes quieter. Soo-jin held her breath at his poem. "Your words are really beautiful," she whispered. That night, by the campfire, they shared marshmallows and secrets. Soo-jin talked about her life in America, the hills of San Francisco, the free-spirited school, and her parents' open minds. Min-jae talked about the tranquility of the fishing village, his father's strict teachings, and his mother's quiet worries. Their worlds were different, but their hearts were connected as one. The days at camp were golden. They paddled the canoe together. Soo-jin laughed and splashed water as Min-jae rowed incorrectly, causing the boat to shake. "Min-jae, this is how you paddle." Her laughter filled the lake. At dawn, they secretly went out to the wooden pier to wait for the sunrise. Soo-jin's yellow sundress sparkled in the sunlight, and Min-jae was overwhelmed to the point that he couldn't breathe. At her. "Soo-jin, you are like a star in my poem," he said, blushing. Soo-jin smiled and took his hand. "Then I'll capture you in my painting." They dreamed of the future. Min-jae wanted to make a name for himself in the world as a poet, and Soo-jin wanted to capture the colors of the world on canvas as a painter. They promised to continue their love by exchanging letters, even after the camp ended. Soo-jin's life in America was free. In a house on the hills of San Francisco, she grew up surrounded by her parents' love. Her father, John, an immigrant of Korean descent, wanted to show his daughter an open world. "Soo-jin, do whatever you want. The world is yours," he always said. Mother Ellen was an artist who nurtured Soo-jin's creativity by teaching her how to paint. "Find your own color, Soo-jin." At school, Soo-jin mingled with her friends and painted her dreams in the art club. As time passed, she transformed into a photographer. Her lenses captured the beauty of the world and were exhibited in galleries in New York and Paris. However, her photographs always contained the sea and stars and inspiration drawn from Min-jae's poetry. Every night she wrote letters to Min-jae. "Min-jae, the sea here is different from the sea in your village, but the stars are the same." She waited for his reply, dreaming of the day they would meet again. Min-jae's life was different. In a small house in a fishing village, his parents valued tradition. His father, Byung-chul, was a fisherman and demanded a sturdy life from his son. "Things like poetry make you hungry, Min-jae. Study hard and get a stable job." Mother Soon-ja was gentle, but she followed her husband's wishes. "Min-jae, listen to your father. Don't suffer like we did." When Min-jae's father found out he was writing a letter to Soo-jin, he got angry. "An American kid? What future does that kid offer? You? Get a grip," Min-jae rebelled, but felt powerless in front of his parents' stubborn attitude. He secretly read Sujin's letter and found comfort in her drawings and handwriting. However, his parents' opposition grew stronger. Such love is absurd. You must continue our family line. Min-jae's heart was torn apart. Summer has ended, and love is put to the test. On the last day of camp, Sujin received shocking news. Due to her father's job transfer, the family had to return to the United States. Min-jae, I have to go, she said, swallowing her tears. At the camp's main gate, Min-jae stood holding the letter he couldn't give her. His heart was filled with unspoken words. Sujin, I will find you, he said with difficulty. Sujin smiled through her tears and handed him a small sketch of the lake. I remember this. The bus left, kicking up dust, and Min-jae was left alone. The heavy sense of loss weighed down on him more than the heat of August. They tried to protect their love by exchanging letters. Sujin wrote letters to Min-jae every day from the United States. Her parents knew about it, but they supported her choice by saying, Sujin, if you are happy, I will cheer for you. However, Min-jae's parents were different. The father found the letter and burned it. What future do you have with a foreign kid? You have to take responsibility for our family. But his parents' pressure was intense. An American kid who just plays around will ruin you. Their stubborn mindset crushed Min-jae's dreams. Sujin's letters became less frequent, and Min-jae's replies stopped altogether. The gap between the two cultures separated their love. Sujin was hurt, but she started with the comfort of her parents. Min-jae succumbed to his parents' wishes and put away his poetry. Time passed. Min-jae became a teacher in Busan. Marriage, a son, a stable life, but his heart was always incomplete. Sujin's sketch remained in his wallet, her smile captured on the faded paper. He wondered where Sujin was, and if she was still drawing. Meanwhile, Sujin succeeded as a photographer in San Francisco. Her lens captured the world, and her work received international acclaim. However, her photos always featured the sea and stars and inspiration, drawn from Min-jae's poetry. Her parents had aged, but they still supported her dreams. Do you still remember that boy you loved? Her mother asked. Sujin nodded her head. In the summer of 2025, Sujin returned to Korea for an international photography exhibition. In her mid-30s, she was a world-renowned photographer, and she came here to capture the sea and people of Busan. While holding a camera and taking pictures of the waves at Haeundae Beach, she unexpectedly saw a familiar face. It was Min-jae. Now, in his mid-30s, he lives a quiet life as an elementary school teacher and was conducting an environmental camp with his students at the beach. Sujin hesitated and approached. Min-jae? Her voice trembled. Min-jae lifted his head and, for a moment, it felt like time was flowing backward. Sujin? Surprise and joy mixed in his eyes. They sat at a seaside cafe. Sujin shared her journey photos taken from her travels around the world and her parents who supported her dreams. Min-jae talked about his life as a teacher, the peace he found after overcoming his parents' stubbornness. I still remember your time, Sujin said with a smile. Min-jae took out her sketch from his wallet. I've always carried this with me. Their conversation continued like friends, but with the warmth of first love. Sujin raised her camera and took a picture of Min-jae. I'll include this photo in my exhibition, and the title will be First Star. Min-jae nodded with a smile. The sunset painted Haeundae. Min-jae and Sujin walked along the beach, laughing. Their love ended against the wall of two cultures, but that summer will forever remain in their hearts. Sujin's parents gave her freedom, while Min-jae's parents imposed tradition. But time brought them back together. As friends, they made a new promise to be each other's light. When Min-jae publishes his poetry collection, Sujin said, I want to introduce your poems to the world, and decided to translate his poems into English and create the photos and illustrations for the collection together. Min-jae replied with a smile. And your photos will make my poems shine. Their friendship has extended to family. Minjae's wife and son. Sujin's husband and daughter have promised to meet every summer. Traveling between Busan and San Francisco, the two families will share laughter as true friends. Under the sea and stars, Minjae whispered while looking at Sujin's camera lens. Thank you, Sujin. You're my first star. Sujin smiled. And you're my first painting. Their friendship blossomed anew, and their love, though brief, will shine forever. Against the backdrop of the sea, the two families will create new memories, transcending borders with a cool and warm international friendship. Today's first love story comes to an end here. If you enjoyed today's story, please subscribe, like, and leave many comments. Who knows? I wonder if the first love you have searched for all your life, which you can never forget, will one day send a reply to your comment after reading it from a faraway country. On the other side of the earth. I would like to reveal that the very purpose of establishing our first love archive was precisely that. I would also like to convey that our early subscribers sent us enthusiastic applause and support. Well then, I will close the door to today's first love storage. This has been the Flower Road Life Story channel until now. See you next time. Goodbye.